We just got a massive Quest 3 update that is packed with new features, as well as some crazy VR game news that you don't want to miss. So let's dive right into it. Now, the first thing that you will notice in Meta's big software update is the addition of a FaceTime-inspired selfie camera that you can use for video calling. However, when it comes to these settings, the background images haven't been implemented for this just yet. And in addition, Meta is also implementing their so-called navigator system, which is basically a complete overhaul of the Horizon OS interface. And this new UI system style should be putting it more in line with a sort of icon-based app selection that we also see in headsets like the Apple Vision Pro. But by far the biggest feature we got is that you can now finally share your 2D windows with other people inside your own Horizon home. And this could potentially let you share your web browser with other friends, so that you could watch, for example, some content together in a much easier way than it is right now. Because currently, if you want to have a co-watching feature, then you would probably have to use an immersive app like Big Screen or VR Chat. And while these options are already pretty good, it still means that with this direct integration, you wouldn't need any extra apps to get your hands on it. But do keep in mind that this is not the same as your screen sharing. Because while it was already possible to stream your first-person view to some other devices, this would then just show your gameplay or whatever you're seeing inside VR, and not the contents of a specific 2D window that you wanted to show off. Although, just keep in mind that this update is still in the public test channels, and that means that you might not have all of these features just yet, or that some of them might be changed slightly before they get implemented. But Meta didn't stop there, because Mark Zuckerberg also announced a multi-year partnership with none other than the UFC, which basically means that we can expect more official content from the UFC that are specifically made for the Quest headsets. Because while we currently do have the app called X Stadium that lets users watch some select UFC fights completely for free, this one is sadly only available in the United States. So hopefully, with this brand new partnership, we can see it go worldwide. But besides all these software updates, we also got some big hardware news from Meta. Because the new report from Bloomberg has revealed some information that Meta intends to release their next smart glasses with a built-in screen later this year. And according to the sources, these glasses are also known under the codenamed of Hypernova. And while on paper, they might look similar to the already existing Ray-Ban glasses, they will now come with a small monocular display that will also have a user interface so that you can use applications like your maps or photos. Now, of course, just like with the original Ray-Ban Meta glasses, the Hypernova will also include a camera for capturing photos and videos, as well as Bluetooth for streaming calls or listening to music. However, the report also mentions that the price will be set at a minimum of $1,000 and up. And the main reason for this big price increase, besides the new display, is that the Hypernova will also come with an EMG wristband. And if you have missed it, this one was also openly demoed during the Horizon AR Glass prototype showcase on Meta's yearly Connect event. And the technology that is used in this is also pretty next level, since it uses the direct simulation of the electrical signals that come from your muscles, and then somehow translate it into virtual commands. However, besides all this hardware, we also had some insane VR game news and a big surprise that you don't want to miss. But before we get into that, let's have a quick word from the company that made this video possible. Because none other than Cat VR, who are known to create VR treadmills that look like they come straight out of Ready Player One, are taking VR once again to the next level. Because while we normally are limited by the space and boundary system inside our virtual reality experiences, it is Cat VR that has been creating VR treadmills that let you run, crouch, and jump without any limitation. And since their most recent version, that is known as the C2 Core, is compatible with nearly every headset, it is often also considered as the dream upgrade for any VR setup. And they even go so far that for those hardcore fans, they also have high-end models that include things like haptic feedback or a vehicle hub, making it feel even more realistic, like riding on a horse inside VR. And as a cherry on top, you can also use the code VRelity for a $130 discount on your entire purchase. So for those who are interested, I'll leave a link in the description below. But that gets us to the VR game news, which directly starts off with the release of Civilization 7 in virtual reality. Now, while this big franchise also has a standard PC and console version, the Civilization 7 for VR is exclusive for the Quest 3 and Quest 3S. And if you've never played it before, in here, you will basically explore and engage with rival civilizations while you're going face to face to both AI and human opponents. And that means that it will allow you for using diplomacy to negotiate peace, or maybe prepare your troops for a full-out brawl. And besides that, you will also be picking a starting age, which each have their own unique challenges and rewards. This can go, for example, from the exploration age, where you'll be discovering distant lands, to the modern age, which is all about technological and industrial growth. And luckily, you can also play this in multiplayer or solo, whichever you prefer most. But just keep in mind that this game comes in at a whopping $60, which is pretty high for a VR title. But that gets us to the next big reveal, which was the announcement of a mixed reality title known as Star Wars Beyond Victory. And while we don't know much about it yet, this one is coming from the studios that also worked on the Vader Immortal trilogy and Tales of the Galaxy's Edge. So with that in mind, the expectations are pretty much off the charts. And next up, we have a brand new Quest exclusive that got its release, which is also known as Train Sim World VR New York. And as the title might already imply, in here, you will become a train driver of the New York's Harlem line itself. But what makes it so cool is that you can choose between multiple modes that each have their own gameplay style to it. For example, if you select career mode, you'll be carrying out some real traffic controls while you're following instructions and completing challenges along the way. And you could also even compete here with your friends thanks to their online leaderboards. While on the complete other side, there is also a journey mode that lets you simply hop off your train so that you can visit the different station across the Harlem line, all while you're trying to find the hidden collectibles and interact with your surrounding environments. But on top of all that, you even have your very own New York apartment that you can decorate to your heart's content, making this overall a pretty unique experience that I enjoyed much more than I originally expected. So if you've always wanted to know what it would be like to drive around an actual full-size train, then this one is for you. But we also saw the release of another ambitious VR title known as Wanderer: The Fragments of Fate. And while it was delayed quite a couple of times, the final product is pretty damn great. Now, of course, it does have some graphical downgrades compared to that of the PlayStation VR 2, for example. But if you're capable of looking beside this, at its core, it will still give you that same gaming experience. And if you don't know it yet, in here, you'll be going to an epic time-traveling adventure that is filled with action and things for you to discover. Now, the only problem with it though, is that there were quite a lot of bugs and glitches at launch. So hopefully they soon fix these in a future update. But that gets us to a big surprise, because the studio behind the awesome VR game known as Detective VR is letting me give away a brand new Quest 3 to one of my viewers. So if you want to have a chance of winning it, all you have to do is make sure you punch that like button on this video, as well as leave a comment down below about either your favorite feature of the Quest headset or your favorite VR game. And we will announce the winner during our next Quest update video. So make sure you don't miss out on that. But moving on, we have another popular VR experience, which goes by the name of Titanic VR. Now previously, this one was only available on PC VR and the original PlayStation VR headset. And for the real old school ones out there, it also once got released on the Oculus Rift store. So if you haven't got the chance yet to try it beforehand, then you should definitely check it out. But that's not all, because there are also a lot of other must-play VR games for your Quest headset. So click on a video that you see on screen right now to make sure you don't miss out on that. And of course, stay awesome.